40.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
All right, we are going to do roll call.
Ms. Beaupre?
Here.
Ms. Hefner?
Here.
Mr. Richmond? Mr. Engard? Mr. Bozak?
Here.
Mr. Sweat?
Here.
And Dave did say that he wouldn't be here tonight, so he won't be here next week either. I wanted to have this meeting tonight because I wanted to see what we might be able to come up with as far as an incentive for downtown for our building owners to upgrade the outside of their buildings. Mason has pulled some information, which is in front of you, from different villages and towns and cities. I think we don't have to reinvent the wheel. I think we can pull a lot from here, but I think we have to address some specifics as far as what we want to have as a cap on how much we want to offer, you know, for like a 50-50 match. And then just the guidelines that we want to go by as far as who's eligible, what is eligible, what our expectations are, like if we want, you know, like a licensed contractor would have to do the work, we should have free estimates, things like that. So first of all, what's everyone's thoughts on doing an incentive, like a matching incentive? If the project costs $50,000, we would do half of it. We would match it after the work is done.
Can I ask a couple questions
Absolutely.
first? How many of these do we plan on doing a year?
Well, that's just it. I think if my thoughts would be, we come up with the amount of money we want to set forth each year, and then those that apply, you know, say we did 20,000. Someone may have a project for 20, which would mean they would only have 10. So we'd still have 10,000 to use somewhere else. If we don't use any of that money, my suggestion would be let it roll over so that it makes it larger for next year so that bigger projects could be done. But I guess it would depend on how many apply or how much they need. And then what are we going to look at as far as how are we going to, like say 3 people apply, what is going to be our stipulation? Is it first come, first serve? Are we going to base it on how the project, what they want to do, how it will impact downtown? Those are the things we need to look at to see what it is we want to do and how we want to set our program up if we decide to set one up. Anybody got any thoughts or ideas?
My first question is, how do we pay for it?
Well, and that would be, do we, obviously it's going to come out of the general fund, right? But we would have it would have to be set aside and appropriated for
Economic development.
Right.
That's exactly what we do.
Right. And I believe we would start this next year, so we would fix it into the budget and make sure that the money is available.
So if I may, sorry I come in here a little late. I said I the general fund's doing. I got to be careful. We're doing pretty good right now. With that being said, we're. And when I say that, it's when you trend the last couple of years, we're not going into the negative, right? So that's what I would say. So I'm sure out of the general fund we could set back. I mean, what's your thoughts, Steve? Like the amounts?
Well, looking at other towns surrounding us, they've done anywhere from 10 to 20.
Yep.
You can't do a whole lot for 10
That's
to 20.
exactly right.
So I guess it's what we can afford to throw at this and how serious we are that we want to do this. Remember, it's only half of the project though, so if we put in 20, that means it's a $40,000 project.
Yeah.
But I guess.
Can I? Oh, I'm sorry. Or more, right?
Right.
I mean, they can.
Oh yes.
We'll
right.
fund up to a certain amount of each
Right.
project, right?
Right.
Is that what you guys are thinking?
Mm-hmm.
So Can you get us, I just did a trend the other day, and I think we're somewhere around in the last 4 years, I think we were $600,000 to the good in the general fund, somewhere in that neighborhood, right? So don't hold me to that. We just in there talking. And that's, so we're trending pretty good there in protecting that, but yeah, that's where that money would have to come out of. And I would highly recommend at least $40,000 if this is something you guys are gonna do, because and the reason why I would say that is because, like you said, if somebody's gonna do something down there, we know how expensive it is, and we certainly want them to beautify their buildings if they can. I mean, look what Elevate just did. I mean, it's that.
There's a lot of buildings down there.
Junior Haynes beautified. I mean, it's fantastic. So yeah, I'm a big supporter of this. I think it's a great idea. And ladies and gentlemen, you can always stop it, right?
Right.
You can always fund it for a couple of years and see how successful it is. That's one of the benefits of being, in the positions that you guys are in. If it doesn't work, 2 or 3 years and it's not successful, you can pull the plug on it. If it's successful, you can always increase the funds.
Right,
or whatever.
no, I agree, and that's the thing, if you think 40 is too much, we can back it off and raise it in the future, or like I said, if it's not utilized, it'll roll over into the next year, would be my suggestion to, continue to let it grow. First of all, is everyone on board with doing something like this, an incentive for downtown? Is everybody?
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I think it's a good idea.
What
Okay.
would
Then-
be the qualifications?
Well, that's what I want to stress. I think one of the things we need is that, one, it needs to be a general licensed contractor that's doing the work. It shouldn't be any do-it-yourselves. Because sometimes you think you can do a good job and you end up having more problems because it wasn't done right or it wasn't done to code. This way, we know that it's being done by a licensed contractor.
Not throwing the money away.
I think that should be one of the stipulations. Another stipulation, I think there should be at least 3 estimates as far as, so that we're not getting, somebody just inflating the cost and going, this is what we're gonna do. I just think there should be 3 estimates from 3 independent licensed contractors.
Is this language on the second page, is that from Bowling Greens?
This is all Bowling Greens, I believe, right?
The app-
Some of them,
Under the application process, I really like that they said this is
At least 2 quotes.
this is a reimbursement grant.
right,
So we're not given, we won't award the money until the work is complete.
Correct.
And the business owner pays for it.
correct.
And we see a copy of paid invoice and also look at the work and make sure what they said is done, and then if we're gonna give them $10,000, then we award the $10,000.
Right.
That's a great idea also.
I like this application process page. I think it covers all that.
I think we also need to look at how we're going to, like I said, if multiple people come and apply, how we're going to decide and determine which one we're gonna go with, or if we're gonna split it among all 3, how are we gonna do that? Because when we start taking even 40,000 and say dividing it by 3, well, now you're down to less than 15,000 that they're gonna get, and so that just makes it more complicated. So I don't know if we just do it by case basis. An application is submitted and we go with the one that we think is going to beautify downtown the most. I'm not sure if we decide that at the time. Council will decide that. Go ahead.
Do you want this to be like a rolling thing, or you want to get like once every quarter or something, we have everyone come to council and kind of voice their project?
You can, or when there's a need. I mean, when somebody, comes forward and says, hey, I've got the funds to do this, but I'd like to, have this incentive program to be able to, help pay for it. I don't know why, we'd have to wait until the next quarter.
So we get all done it kind of in groups.
Bowling Green's an
Spread out.
annual program, isn't it? Because it says in here, all applications must be in by, I think, October 31st.
Well, right.
Yeah, it must be.
Deadline.
And I kinda like that idea,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
then we're dealing with everybody, hopefully they're planning for the next year by that
Right.
time anyhow.
And I'm okay
Well,
with that. if
I
that's what
don't
you
want the people who are quick to get, even though the project might be better with them than others, them getting the money instead of better projects may come later because of whatever reason. Maybe they are waiting on quotes or.
Yeah, but,
Right.
yeah, but what he just said is exactly the way it should. There's a deadline for the next year to do your projects, then it gives you guys an opportunity to do. And if somebody doesn't get it in, they have to wait till the next year
Right.
of funding.
And if we
Just
put it
like we
out-
would have to.
Yeah, because if we do it quarterly, what are we gonna do, $10,000
But
a
let me
quarter?
throw this out here. What if no one applies by October?
This
And then
allows.
we've got that money sitting there for a whole year that we could be investing in the downtown. That's my only,
But this also kind of says that if nobody applies for the money, then we can give it out to another project. If your project doesn't go forth, I don't remember where, I read it real quick, so.
Mhm.
It does kind of say in here that if your money isn't used, we can allocate it out. So if somebody comes forth with a project, then let's move forth with the project.
Right. And then there's a time frame as well as for when the project is to start and be completed, and I think that's important. Yes, Mason?
Sorry, real quick, I just wanted to throw out there, since I was looking at these different cities, some of them do the first come, first served method, others are, they do a rank system. Some of them will go through planning commission first, and they'll narrow the applications down, and then council will select it from there. So they use a couple different models, but, the big commonality there is they are all reimbursement grants.
Right.
They're all reimbursement, and they all focus on facade exclusively, from what I
Right,
can tell.
and I think that's what we want to stick to. And I like the ranking myself, just because I just think we
I'd like to
may
see what
want to look
ranking
at what,
system.
what projects they're doing, or what would be the biggest impact for downtown.
Two things, I don't know that I would recommend it go through the planning commission, because then, then you guys may not know all the projects that are, right, there. If it goes to the planning commission's gonna go through there and rank which ones they want to,
Their opinion.
want to recommend to council, and council may say, hey, wait a minute, there might be one that, you know what I mean? So if we recommend 3, if the planning commission recommended 3, and I'm on the planning commission, the planning commission recommended 3, but there was 6 that was, and you guys don't know the other 3, right? So I always think that stuff should always come to council in a special meeting, or special committee meeting, to just review that.
Right. And I
And
agree with
the second thing that I would say is, guys, the worst thing with something like this, and I like the discussion of being flexible, like, hey, if nobody applies, but guys, that can get very, very confusing, and it could get out of hand, where it's almost like it's almost, you're trying to say, well, we did it this year this way, and this year this way. I would highly recommend that you say, this is the deadline to put your, if nobody puts it in, roll that $30,000 or $40,000 over to the next year, now you got $60,000.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I would say, because and the only reason why I say this is because when you start putting a bunch of variables and flexibility in there, which I love flexibility, don't get me wrong, but sometimes it creates more problems where everybody's ultimately saying, look, we started off with something really good, how did we get here where it's so hard to manage?
Would it work if we did like a January 1st deadline and a June 1st deadline, if we didn't get any applicants
Yes.
for the first
I
one?
think that's a
That
great
way
idea.
we'd have flexibility
Yes.
to, that money's just not sitting there for a year, not being utilized. If someone comes to us and goes, yeah, I'm ready to move forward this fall, but I gotta wait until January. So,
Yeah.
maybe we could do that. We could do a January 1st deadline. If the money is not
Allocated.
sought, then or allocated, then we could do a June 1st for a second time, and then
For a second
back to
round.
January 1st. So, I'm really hoping people take advantage of this, and it kind of motivates people to upgrade our downtown. So,
Good program.
I would, just a couple quick thoughts. I'd recommend maybe having it in by the end of January. Getting stuff in at the holidays is not easy.
okay.
And then I think it would be nice to not get all of the nominations and then have to vote on it within a day or two. I think it'd be nice to have a review period till the following month and award, and tell who's gonna get it in the beginning of March.
So have them in by the end of
January.
January, and then we'd have a month to review them.
Yes.
And give them an answer.
Yeah, because a lot of times, and it's to no fault of anyone, we get information day of meeting. I think it would be hopefully we have 10 to go
Right.
through. That's awesome.
Right.
And then we have some time to put our thoughts together and have a meeting, and the folks can come in.
So if we did not have a special, it would be February, they come to council, do their spiel, and then council will ask questions, do their thing, and then on March decide.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a good idea.
And I think all that sounds really good. What happens if council can't come to an agreement of what ones you're gonna fund? I mean, that's a good problem to have, but what, you know, that you got so many, like you said, Barry, but what if, you know, what if you said, well, what if you had 3 of you said we need to fund this, and 3 of you said we need to fund that, you can't come to an agreement, and then within that month.
You get to decide.
No, don't
because
do
you
that.
wouldn't.
If Aaron doesn't wanna vote, I'll vote, it's okay.
No, I think you guys will, but guys, can you please always keep in mind, you guys
Yeah.
may not be the ones
Mhm.
sitting in these seats.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like what you're saying, Eric, as far as, you know, give us more. I just don't think a month's enough time. I think you need to have at least 2 meetings to decide on. I would hate to see you guys come, because Eric, the way that I envision this, and maybe I'm wrong, is whoever's gets submitted, you guys get all that information into review, and then you guys are gonna come in and sit in a meeting and try to decide at that meeting who you're gonna pick. Now, I don't think that's fair to you guys. I think it would be a good meeting to have, like, where you guys would come in and say, okay, we like this one, this one, this one, this one, and then go do your, however you're gonna rate them, and then have one more meeting to verify. And it doesn't have to be an official meeting.
I like that October 31st deadline,
Mhm.
because people budget from January to December a lot, so they're starting to put their budget together.
Mhm.
So if they can have an idea of where they're at in December, early January, then they're in a better place.
So if we had if we had it by October 1st, and then have them present it in January, and a second, then we would issue it March 1st. That way it would give us 2 months, and that would be 2 meetings. Would that be?
That'd give you guys plenty of time. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I just want time. I think we all need to review the applications and all
Now, I
that.
think we could probably roll this out for this October, right? I mean, we'd be doing the budgets then. We wouldn't be issuing any money until the following year, so I think
Good.
we could announce it for this October and then budget it for next year. Now, what is everybody's thoughts on the amount? What we're thinking would be a good amount to offer?
If I may, I'm thinking maybe 40,000, and then every year after maybe it's 10,000. It always depends obviously how it goes, but I think we need a little injection for
Well, only doing 10,000 in the previous years could end up coming back to bite us, because if somebody applies for that entire 40, then we're only getting 10 next year. That's not gonna do a whole lot. you
Again,
know?
that can obviously fluctuate, that's my first thought, that more money the first year than.
Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that with your guys' approval, we could fund this at $40,000 a year.
Every year.
And sustain it. I believe that we could, and it's not gonna have
And that
a
can be
huge
defined.
negative, it's for the village, right?
Yep.
It'd be almost like we said, we wanna throw, well, like we are, you know, possibly $70,000 to $100,000 on Quarry Road. It's an investment, right?
Right.
So, that's exactly what you're doing.
Well, and that's just it. If we don't invest in our downtown, I don't know how we can expect anybody else.
That's right.
So I think this shows that,
And
listen, we wanna help, we wanna see this
Also, if
happen.
someone comes in and someone comes in and asks for the $40,000, it necessarily doesn't mean we have to award them $40,000.
No, exactly.
If there's
Now-
4 projects, I would assume, and we like them all, and they all want $40,000, we could say, here's your award of $10,000 each.
Right,
Yep.
and I think we need to specify that this is for downtown, you know, that
Most
this is,
definitely.
you know, maybe we even put the addresses in, or the
And
corner,
it would
corner,
probably
whatever.
be the zoning district, B3 Central Business District, and then it has
Is
to be.
that just Main Street then?
It's a little older than that, but I also put like commercial over there also, so. And if they don't match it, obviously you will say no to it anyways, so.
Right, I'm sorry.
Would this also be for the 50%? 50% reimbursement?
Yeah,
Up
up to-
It would be up
Okay.
to 50%.
Right.
But if they ask, if they have an $80,000, or if they have a $100,000 project, doesn't mean we necessarily have to give them 40.
Right.
We could give them 15, or just depends on how many people apply and what we think are value-added projects. that
Well, and
we
I
put
think
out.
it's gonna be on each case by case, because I think if somebody's doing the entire front, putting new windows and stuff, that is gonna be a huge impact on our downtown.
Yeah.
If they're just painting, you know, the door, you know, that's not, but But I just think we wanna look at them on a case-to-case basis, what's gonna be the biggest impact
Is-
in our downtown.
Is internal, like plumbing, anything like
No.
that? So it's just
Strictly
facade, facade?
Right, I think once if we get our downtown in a good shape,
Right.
then we could go back.
Yeah.
Because, our goal should be, we wanna get companies in here to rent. We want, and if they can't get the inside done, then they're not gonna be able to rent them. But if we can get the outside looking nice on all the buildings, and then this project went, okay, we've got it up to standard where we want it, where we need it, now do we wanna do an incentive for inside? But I think we need to work on the outside first.
I would just, go ahead, please.
How much value do we want to put into historical features of the buildings?
I think that's based on, I don't know that we want to put value into it. It's like, I would hope that if they have a historical feature on their
Yeah.
building, they would want to keep that.
I'm just
But
kinda
that's
going
going to
off
be
of
in
this
their own
paragraph.
plans.
Yeah, the city will not, the village in this case, will not reimburse for any request that removes ornate historical features such as lower, upper cornices, ornamental window trims, or storefront display windows,
See,
something like that.
and here's where I get hung up on that, Josh. To do that is extremely expensive.
Mhm.
And as much as, I don't know, do we have a lot of historical buildings downtown? Yes, they're old. But in order to replace something ornate, that can be a lot of money. And we've just taken and utilized.
And a lot of historic districts, it has to be 100% correct or 100% changed.
We don't have any historical buildings,
Right.
official
That's what I'm
certified
saying.
historical
Like
buildings.
a block.
Right.
We've looked into it a
Don't
little
count
bit,
it.
it'd be
Right.
nice for.
So I would say if they want to
point
keep something
more,
and they want that
funds
separate
available
from,
for those.
we're looking at more structural, and eye appeal. It's, if we had a lot of, ornate buildings downtown that, then I could see maybe talking about that, but I don't think that's something we want to invest in.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. So,
I think it's wonderful that this body's considering giving downtown owners a little lift in economic development and enhancing downtown. I think it's wonderful.
So when we rewrite this, we'll be getting rid of some of the historical language, I assume?
yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
there'd be no need.
Delete that,
I would like to see it simple and clean, not a whole lot of, I think there are certain things that we need to incorporate in there, but I don't think we want to go into great detail on
Leave it open.
what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do, because again, do these people, have a lot of money to invest, it may be that, what they're doing down there with that, and I saw they did it in Signet too on the front of the buildings. It's almost like Wayne's coating, which I'm sure it's not that, but it's this, wood that has it looks really nice. And I'm guessing that's a little bit cheaper than trying to do brickwork or masonry work of some sort. So, we don't want to handcuff them, but we also don't want shoddy work, so we gotta make sure that they're getting quality contractors, and I think they should have a plan, they should have a drawing, they should have, now I don't think we want to make this so, like, they don't need architectural drawings, but they need something to scale and what kind of material they're going to use. We need detail on that, along with, a written estimate. When they plan to start and when they plan to finish. I think there's certain things we need to have in there that they have to meet, but I don't think we want to handcuff them too much.
Is the legislative body expecting, and I'm just asking Stifler, just for somebody to submit it and then you guys review, or do the ones that this body might choose to award need to come up after, if they've been chosen, to come up and present something to the, some people get a little nervous talking, I don't know that.
I think they either need to come up and present it, or at least present it to the committee,
Okay. To the committee.
so that everybody's on the
On the
same
same
page and we
page.
understand.
Do they have to have their contractor in place when they request?
Do they have to have their contract?
Yes.
No, they have to have the 3
We're-
estimates. They have to have the 3 estimates, but they wouldn't have to actually sign them on at that, because maybe they're waiting to see if they're gonna get the help.
Right.
The other,
Why 3 estimates? Like,
we'll just.
That's like a magic number, re-estimate. But if they're going to do this, they already know who's going to do it. Like, to give us 3 estimates means nothing, because they're going to pick who they want to contract with anyway. Why can't they just
That's
show
what I
us
was
there
just thinking.
that it's a licensed contractor doing it? It's none of our business who they ask. They're just, this is
Well,
what they're doing.
what if they're paying an astronomical fee?
So we
for
don't have to
something that we
approve to
wouldn't
reimburse
have
it?
to?
Yeah.
It's our decision.
I can
But
hire
the
my
thing is,
friends
we
to
don't
model
know that
it.
it's astronomical unless we have something to
we
compare
aren't
it to.
professionals in every single aspect of contractor work for facade, so I guess the 3 quotes kind of clears that up a little bit, I guess.
I just think, like, 3 just seems to be this stupid magical number that people pull out of the air. And maybe they don't, maybe,
The government thing, yeah.
I know, but maybe their cousin is a licensed contractor and their cousin's going to do it, and that's who they're going to go with.
And I hate to,
Regardless,
and I
Right,
hate to
so
say
why,
That's a good point.
Well, but what if they're, okay, so I hate to say this because, you know, I'm not saying this would happen, but what if somebody would inflate the price?
Keep in mind, Dee, that, if I could just make this real quick, keep in mind, Dee, that they have to pay the other portion, so they're
Yeah.
probably not gonna go with that person, right?
But I know people that have been contractors that are willing to write an $80,000
Exactly.
estimate
And it's only
and
gonna
charge
cost-
40.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, we'll take the.
We
bill
don't,
as
we don't
40,
reimburse them
and not
until
back.
we get a signed check
Right.
and saying the invoice is
But,
paid.
but,
They have to pay it in
but
full.
see, where Richard and I are coming
I'm
from
sorry,
is
Timmy.
that you can inflate the price in order to get it basically all covered. Instead of, and like I said, we don't have anything to compare it to, we don't know what it actually costs. If you take the same material and everything and give it to 3 different people, I don't care what contractor they go with, but if we have 3 estimates and they wanna go with the highest one, we can base what we're gonna give them off the lowest
Right.
one.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. It's not to say, well, you've gotta go with the lowest one. It's just that if they've got their cousin giving the estimate and they've inflated it, we're gonna catch that with 2 other estimates. That's all I'm
The
looking at.
way it currently is if the word exceeds 3,000, at least 2 quotes will be required.
Or do
You
we?
want to increase that to 3?
Or do we find just a contractor who would help us and go out there and, okay, they got a plan here, this is what they want.
We
This
could,
is how
but-
much I would charge.
But I bet that's gonna cost us, because they're gonna get real sick of
Also
looking at
more
our
material
plans and
working on
knowing
it.
they're not gonna get hired.
Well, what would you do in the instance of if the project's required to be finished before we reimburse, why don't we require a proof of payment of?
It's 100%
Yeah,
in here.
it's-
You have to,
Yeah.
it has to be paid, we gotta see the check, a paid in full
Yeah.
invoice
Now,
from the
the
contractor, and
only
then
problem I have with
we
that
inspect and
is,
reimburse.
what if people can't, they're coming to us for help, we're offering help, because they may not have the money to complete the project on their own. What if they don't have $80,000 to fund the project? They have 40, but they don't have 80.
I think it's a really slippery slope, because then you're gonna get into potentially the village committing to pay the contractor directly, which we don't wanna do, and that could go on to like lien situations and stuff like that.
Okay.
We cannot get involved with paying a contractor directly. It has to be the business owner, property owner that does that, and that's why all this is written that way.
Okay.
We can't do, that would be really bad. Because they're gonna expect money from us and then wonder if we don't approve of their work, it's not, it's.
Let me ask you this, if they're going to the bank for a loan, and I don't even know if a loan officer would allow this, I'm just throwing this out here. If they go to the bank for a loan for 80, but we've committed to paying 40 after the work is completed, would we be able to supply a letter for the bank stating that we're willing to do that?
I don't know
once
if that's
the-
a good idea, Dee, because that puts us in liability, and if the work isn't to this body's satisfaction, and we have to renege on that and say, look, you're able to shut, we can't take attachment.
Okay, so
I'd
that's.
just be careful.
Okay, so that's a good point. So I was just trying to look at.
Helps us,
Yeah.
helping somebody, I
Yeah.
think that's the whole thing.
You know, because like I said, for them to maybe go get an $80,000 loan, even though it's temporary, maybe they can't do it, but they could have done a 40.
I think you guys want to get started.
But I totally understand where you guys are coming from and agree with that, so.
But you guys don't have to actually come up with a number today, right? So give some thought to it. You don't have to say, I mean, we could draft up, have Josh draft this up, or and have legal look at it, and you guys can plug a number in there. at any time, right?
I like the $40,000
So do I.
number. I think it's a good start.
I think we can,
Yeah, I
it's
think
something we can
40,000 is
sustain.
good. I think what we need to do is come up with the stipulations that we're going to make them abide by. And I think that's where we need to do some work on.
Simplicity, I like what he said, keep it simple.
First off, Mason will be taking charge of this project from our side of things.
Mhm.
So he's working on this. But I do like how it is right now when it says if it exceeds 3,000, at least 2 quotes will be required.
Yeah.
I kind of.
If someone's replacing their front door, I don't think we need to have
That's
three
true.
quotes.
Agreed.
And they're asking for $500 from us. I don't
I
think we
would,
need to trouble them.
I would
with
say
three
keep
quotes.
that as is, but that's not.
That's a good point. If you guys want to throw out some things that you definitely know you want in there, then, you know, I'm happy to sit down with Mason and kind of knock this out, and then we can bring it to you, and you can add to it or take away however you want. I mean, whatever.
Great idea.
So what are some things that you definitely want to see in there? And Mason, if you would write those down so we have them.
It has to be a reimbursement, and the village representative, which would more than likely be Josh, would inspect, would come to council and say the project is done to satisfaction, and then we reimburse.
And show some pictures and.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I know it says contractor, I'd like to see licensed contractor put in.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It has to be a
Because it's
licensed
not.
contractor. And
In
think-
here, I didn't see that anywhere, it just says contractor, so.
So we want licensed contractor. Are we okay with the 3 quotes then? Getting 3 quotes
I
for
think
3,000?
2 will show you.
Yeah.
Give you
I
an
think
idea.
2's a solid.
Sometimes you can't get 3, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I know we've had trouble up here getting 3 quotes.
Okay.
East
So-
one, side one, two.
He's just been recently trying to call around begging people to put a quote in, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a bad practice, because now they're saying, oh, these guys, right,
Yeah.
right, they're gonna pay the, so.
Kind of desperate, yeah.
And then it'll be submission by October 1st, and for consideration for the first half of the year, and then June 1st for the second half, if there's funds remaining.
Should we I feel like we should only do this once for the whole year, and then if there's funds remaining, there's funds remaining. And not, so you're saying for October 1st, by this year, they have to have all this stuff submitted for next year? I don't know if that's super realistic.
Well, no, they wouldn't have to have it submit, well, I guess they'd have to let us know that they're going to be submitting something. We could have it by January 1st, because we weren't gonna make a decision until March 1st, if we were gonna take 2
Why don't we
months.
just say they have to submit by the end of January, and then we award?
As long as that gives you guys enough time, Eric, to
Yeah,
to hash
if
it
we
out,
have a month, I
it's a
think,
great
because you could
idea.
have a committee meeting, you have your council meeting, you have all that
One of
stuff.
my concerns that you brought up, and it's not, so keep in mind with the budget, I know the way that they used to do it was anytime that you take general fund money and it's not used, it goes right back into the general fund at the end of the year and then you reallocate. So I don't know that that's something that they do. That's how, and I used to get upset about it because we was trying to save money for certain things and he was like, that's general fund money, it goes back. I said, wait a minute, just reappropriate more money on top of it. No, it's gotta go back in the general fund. I don't know if it was that finance officer's policy or whatever. So why I bring that up is, so if you, along the lines of what you're saying, Eric, which I really like it, is if there, let's just say you allocate $40,000 and there's $15,000 left at the end of the year.
Yeah, we have
Following year,
55 next year.
yes, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
not just the 40.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Be adding
want
to
that
whatever's
grow,
left over
right?
and appropriating that.
Yeah, because that's
Okay.
important that this body knows that, because you guys are, this body's the one that's gonna make sure that appropriation is, and he can flag it. So what I mean by flagging it is, Chris Kurt, I think, was the one that said that. I said, Chris, then you gotta flag it so that we know that we're gonna continue to
Yeah.
build this fund. So he may need to flag it, I don't know how it works in there. It's just something we're gonna have to make sure it's, if it goes back, whatever's left over, we're gonna reallocate $40,000 on top of that.
Right.
So that would be $55,000 the following year.
I'd like to see our grading scale too, when we put
You'd like
this
to see what?
together.
I'm sorry?
Our grading scale, how we're gonna pick what project we pick.
Right. Well, I think we need to come up with a list of, you know, what it is that we're, and they had some in here, of what was eligible. And really, I mean, it's basically anything on the outside.
Except signage.
Step out just for a second, excuse
Right.
me.
completion, so what are we thinking? Start within 6 months, complete within 6 months after that, or is that too short
We
of
do
time?
like November 1st. It has to be done just so we can have that money spent by the end of the year.
Okay. So,
And that kind of goes
project
in
would
with
have
our
to be
budgeting too.
completed by the following November 1st, is what you're saying.
Do we want to keep upon approval, the applicant will have until mid-November of the following year to submit receipts for reimbursement?
That would be a little late if we want to get it paid by November.
Now, all that needs to change, and I don't think we're doing the October date.
Yeah.
We're not doing November 1st, everything needs to be submitted if they want reimbursement. Like the final report, however you
Well, that
craft
would be
it, needs
good,
to come
because then
in.
that would follow into having everything completed by then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
like it
helps
needs
with
to,
budgeting, we'll,
Yeah,
know
just trying to-
we're rolling money over.
yeah,
Mhm.
yep.
If we have more money, we'll do a round two or something later in 2027. Yeah.
The only thing is, Eric, I just feel like if we don't get anyone submitting anything by October, especially of this year, we're gonna be sitting on that money for a year and nothing downtown is getting
So-
done. And that's why I'd like to have a second date.
Okay, I'm confused though about the October of this year. Are we, is that what's that a deadline for?
For the 2027.
Okay.
To award it for 2027.
Right.
Or the end of January.
Yeah, I thought, I think we need to give them more time to January. That's like basically they'd have to get all their contractors and projects
Well, then,
and money figured
why
out
don't
in a month.
why don't we say, to keep it simple, January 1st and June 1st, and keep it simple that way? They can submit it earlier. We want to roll this out before that, so that they have time to get this possibly something for next year, but that's just it. Since it's getting so late, and by the time people would say, okay, this is what I want to do, this is the contractors I'm gonna do, I'm afraid we'll be sitting on that money for a whole year and nothing's gonna get done. Where if we do January 1st and June 1st, and June 1st is only if the money hasn't already been used. If there's still money sitting there, why wouldn't we wanna give an opportunity to use it? Is my thoughts.
Yeah, I don't like January 1st because I know it's the holidays.
Sure.
It's not good. It needs to be later in January. But
Do you
because that
know
would
it?
give us February to have, we could have potentially 2 meetings and a committee meeting to discuss it in February and award them at the beginning of March.
So, yeah, so.
No one's doing
The only concern that I have going on, like 6 months above, is what if you had like from January to March rather than January, February, March to come up with your plan? Because, and the only reason why I'm saying that is because I think if you have, it almost, people's got to make a decision, right? I mean, it puts people in a position that, okay, if I'm going to do something, there's this money that may be available. I think it locks us into saying, if we want to use this money, let's get it out there for the downtown, and then if somebody comes in after that, we can always say, the funding's over until next year, so make sure you get it in for next year.
And I like the
to
October date
drag this-
for year 2 instead of having the 2 dates
Yes.
for next year, because then if there is leftover money, people start seeing us, because we'll publicize who's
Yes.
getting the money and the projects and put pictures. Then people will apply for 2028.
Yep.
And then we can go back to that end of October date and make the decision by the end of the year and know what we're gonna spend that at 20.
I really do too, Eric. I like the end of the year so that they know that
Yeah.
they've got the money for
I just don't
next
think
year.
for this
There's just not
first year,
enough time for the first
there's
year.
time for that, but I like that, and then if there is extra money, I think once we publicize the projects and people see stuff getting done, they'll start thinking, hey, for my business, I could do this and that and this, and let me get my application together.
I think this first year is gonna be a hard year no matter what we do.
Yeah,
Because
we might get 2,
we're
we might get
asking-
20, who knows?
Right.
Right, we're asking on a short-term basis.
Yeah.
We haven't given people time
Right.
to think about what can I do if I got $10,000.
That the program's even available.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
So this first year, we're gonna do January, February, March would be
Love
your,
Yep.
submission date. And we'll give them an answer by then the end of March. if we're gonna do January, February, March.
Well, I think we can start publicizing as soon as we get the.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree.
And say have it in by the end of January is what I was thinking. Have February, we have our 2 meetings, plus we can have an additional committee meeting
Right.
if we need to discuss, and then award it to March.
Okay.
And keep in
If
mind,
that's, or we can even extend it even longer.
I think that's a great idea. Keep in mind, guys, that this is all learning, learning,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
for the first year.
Yeah.
Right, and we can tweak it as we go, or if
Yep.
we're sitting on a bunch of money, and we can, you know, put it back out there and say,
I
hey,
just-
we've got this, and.
I just think we try to answer all the
Yeah, we
unknowns right
can,
here.
yeah, we
I mean,
can.
I'd be glad to sit here too.
Yeah.
Right.
But I just
Right.
think that, and I'm not, please don't think I'm
No,
just
that's
saying.
okay, but we do have another meeting, so,
Yeah, well,
so, okay, so I'll get with Mason, we'll kind of work out some details, we'll bring
Yeah.
it back to you, see what you think, and go from there.
Mason, I think the most important thing for our legal counsel is to make sure it's ironclad that the village is the decision maker if that money gets reimbursed or not. Just have them make sure we're covered there, because people might say, well, you promised me this, but if they don't meet the criteria, then, yeah.
Okay.
yeah, and you know, it's such a good program that you guys are rolling out. I'd hate for it to go south, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
of people trying to take advantage of it like we talked about. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where I start cringing saying, oh, I hope we're not.
Right.
So hopefully,
I think it'll be a good
but
thing.
yeah, you gotta definitely have good ironclad.
We'll work on it, see what we can come up with then.
Could I
So-
ask one more question?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Okay, this popped in my head. Does the recipient of the money, the owner, have to be an NB resident, or would they at least have like preferred?
Well, they would be a
status?
property owner, so they
Yep.
don't necessarily have to live in North Baltimore, but they obviously have a property in North Baltimore.
Okay.
And it has to fall,
Just property owner.
it has to fall within that boundary.
Okay.
Right. So in order to do the
I like
boundaries.
that.
do
So
we
that
wanna
can be
mark, say,
potentially
streets
part of
or-
our
Part of our
scorecard.
Yeah.
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 If somebody's a resident versus, I mean,
I think that'll be important to
yeah.
And it has to fall in,
taxpayers in the village.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it has to fall into the business, like the commercial business.
Yes.
Okay,
Of the zoning.
right.
And I think that's.
Because
the
those
crux.
building owners are also taxpayers within the village, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure.
I just wanna,
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I do know that we had one business owner, I think, down there that actually owns one of the buildings that actually lives in California, I think, so that's a really good question. That we had to reach out to him, I think when Chase was here, so I don't know where they live today, but it was about cleaning up some property, and he was like, oh my gosh, they live in California.
Now, let me ask this, just real quick, and then we'll be
Sure.
done with this meeting. There is a piece of property that could be developed. Are we only talking about current,
It's a good question.
current buildings? I would think that's what we, instead of, if
Yeah.
somebody wanted to develop that and come back and get 40,000 to help develop it, is what I'm asking.
they're building a building, they're not changing their
Right,
facade.
so we
There's gotta
just
be a
want-
change in the facade.
So we'll make sure that's addressed in there as well, just to make sure that it's, current, structure. So, okay, Tim, I believe you have the floor now.
Did you, I don't know who's all got,
It's free
sheriff-
now.
The agreement with, Drug Enforcement Services?
Oh, no.
You guys have never received a copy of it? Okay.
We have previously, but has it been revised?
Okay, no, not at this
Oh,
point.
okay,
This
okay.
is for us to sit down and talk about, I wanna know what everybody thinks about it, and your opinions, and where we're at, and before we sit down, if we sit down with the sheriff or whatever, then we need to have a discussion on it. Did you get a haircut, Tim?
I did.
Right.
Danielle, my barber.
That's awesome.
You wanted to know what time it was.
I did?
Yes.
I'll let the mayor kinda, cause you're well versed in this, as in what,
Well, I don't wanna lead anybody. I mean, that's why I wanna go
Yeah,
in and
yeah.
see what council, so I guess what I would open up with is what are we trying to accomplish, right? Cause I'll be sitting down with the sheriff if that's what you guys want me to. What are we trying to accomplish?
So we haven't added any of our.
Oh, no.
Okay,
No, no,
that's
I'm
what I
not
was
saying
looking
that
for, to
one
see
yet.
if
We
we
still
had
got the
added.
original. Is there a problem? And what are we trying to achieve? Because I don't see, well, I'll wait and listen to this body's opinion on,
When you say is there a problem, do you mean is there a drug problem?
Yeah.
That we need to do this?
yeah, that can't be solved with our K-9 unit and with our current officers.
I think that, talking to some people outside of here, that there's a problem here, and there is a problem other spots in Wood County that directly affect here. They're outside of our jurisdiction. And that's like producing and selling drugs, and they end up in our village.
So that's what I'm asking is that something that the efforts of our department with the K-9 unit could get on top of? And here's what I'm, so I've had people come to me in the past and say, look, this house is dealing drugs, we know it for a fact.
Yeah.
I went to the chief about it. I said, look, what are we doing this? I mean, when the residents, I had a guy come to me and say, Aaron, my kids can't even play outside. Right? I can't even let my kids go outside and play because there's a drug house right there. He met with me in private because he was afraid. I went to the chief and I said, get it taken care of. And he didn't. Right? So are we really making an effort, would be my question, within our department? Within our department. So when I went and asked, after our chief had left, the answer to me from another officer was he wouldn't let us. Now that is a problem. He would not let us, right? Knowing that
Past, like.
yeah, past, yes, it's the
Okay.
past, yes.
Let's
So I
clarify
went
that.
to him, yes, it's not our current chief, no, it's our past chief. And I said, why did we not deal with this? Nothing got brought to my attention until after our chief had left, right? The police officers aren't going to go over and say, this is why we can't do something. I don't necessarily blame them, but we ended up hitting that house and got them, right? So is it something that we can do with it? Talking to Dave in the past, Dave laughed pretty right. Come on, I said, look, if we got drug issues in town, why aren't we dealing with it? He said, well, you can't just, and it's a good point, he said, you can't just walk up to a house and break in and accuse them of doing drugs. He said, that's illegal, you can't do that. He said, the best thing we can do in the village of North Baltimore is get it started K-9 unit. We've been talking about this for years. He said, that would help us prevent it. He said, as soon as, so then him and I sat down with the sheriff from the Sandusky 2 years ago. The guy said, and that guy said, Mayor Patterson, if you get a K-9 unit in the village of North Baltimore, you can almost guarantee your drug problem goes away because they know that you have that. So I didn't know that there was a drug problem. I don't know if there is or there isn't, right? I think there's drugs in every community, guys. I mean, opiate.
I think that's what gets me is why are we the only village going in on this?
So that's the question that I have is if it's a problem in Rossford or in Bearstown or Bloomingdale or somewhere else, what about
Coordinated
stealing?
thing.
Right, that's what I mean. So so if somebody's stealing in Bloomingdale, do we send a cop over there at the taxpayers' money to stop him so he doesn't come to the village of North Baltimore to steal?
No,
I mean,
but I
that's-
think drugs are a bit different because I think they, like he said, they distribute them. And so I think a lot of activity that happens here also is connected with Toledo or something, and I think that's where it may benefit us, that they're gonna know that. They're gonna see the activity and know that this one's linked to this one.
Why aren't they doing that now, though, Dee? I think we
We
have
don't
the
have those
capability.
resources to be able to know what's going on in these other communities, whereas the drug task force would know that. They have a lot more inside information than what we're ever gonna get.
So if a K-9 unit, and that's, why are we not taking baby steps, I guess is what I would say. So, I mean, If it's going up, so why wouldn't we start with the K-9 unit, something that's affordable that we're already gonna pay for, right? We're already working on that. The only problem is the dog's not available right now. And
My
then,
question with the K-9 unit, though, how does that help us with drug activity in a home? I know how
Or
it helps
in town.
in a
I'm sorry,
vehicle.
what?
Or in town.
Because the dog will hit outside of the house. That's what Dave told me. Yeah, so he said you can't go up to the house. But if you're watching and somebody comes out of that house and it hits on it, now you have probable cause. You can't just go up without probable cause. That's the key for a dog. The dog is trained to hit on these. So if you're walking that dog by a house and it hits, you can now act.
I'll be honest with you, I'd like our chief to come in and tell us why he thinks this program would be good or not good. You know, because I think he has a little bit more insight of how all this activity works and connects together. I would like to hear from him to see where he stands.
I, as a taxpayer, not just the mayor of the village of North Baltimore, do not like my tax dollars getting paid to prevent something going on in Russell, or Radnor, or Bloomdale, or I want when I know that we have the capabilities of taking care of it in the village of North Baltimore. If we make an effort, I guarantee you, that's our police department's job. Think about this. That is their job, right? And
Then
we need to.
why haven't we held the police department accountable in the
Okay,
past
so
then?
I just answered that. Right? I gave that. So when I went to the chief and said, this house is dealing drugs, I've been told that by a number of people. The guy who lived right upstairs renting asked to meet with me in secret and said, Aaron, I cannot even let my kids.
I get that.
Okay, so when I went to the chief about it, right, he said, Aaron, we're on top of it, we're dealing with it, okay. They made no effort. As soon as he went off on sick leave, they went down there and busted that house. I asked the question why, and the officer came and said because the chief wouldn't let us. Think about that. The chief wouldn't let us. So when you're saying, well, we won't do it because maybe I didn't push enough, right? Maybe I thought that, and that's another one of my concerns in here, right? One of my concerns in here is so if there's no accountability there, right? There's no accountability in this agreement. Right? Nobody's going to answer you guys for anything that's going on. Who's paying the bills? I mean, that's a definite concern of mine. So if we met and somebody was sharing with you guys what was going on with this program, and you have a right to know because you're paying the bills, I have a right to know because I am head of, the mayor is the head over that department. Are you going to run out and tell people that they're...
You don't have the right to know about police operations. The police chief
Yes, I
has
do.
the right to
Oh,
know.
yes, I do. You can
And
ask
he
the
will
attorney.
inform, there are some legal
Yeah.
things that
Yes.
you are not open to have information on. Ongoing investigations is one of those things that you technically may not have control over.
Well, and I was told on that.
It's not about being, it's about accountability. It's about, listen, guys, if we're gonna be writing a check for something, we have to get a return on that, right? And how are you supposed to know if you're ever getting a return on it? So let me ask a question, is there a drug problem in the village of North Baltimore?
Mhm.
There is.
Your police
You
chief
know that
sat
for-
here and said so.
Well,
and
I
one
heard you
thing-
say there wasn't.
No,
I'm
I said.
sorry, you told me that there wasn't, so
What I said is, I don't see it as an overall drug problem. I do feel we have drugs in the village. I don't see it as a massive issue that every house is selling drugs in the inner city.
that's certainly not happening.
Okay, that's what I said.
I didn't hear you say that, so.
That is what I said.
One thing I was told a couple of years ago on that particular home down there was that it was being watched, and our officers were told to back off from it because it was being watched.
Told by who? Like somebody in-house or somebody outside?
somebody outside of North
Yeah.
Baltimore. They were another, whether it was the FBI or whoever, was already watching that home.
Sure.
And North Baltimore was to back off from it.
So did you hear that
So-
from a credible person? Because the person that I talked to was part of the arresting party that said
Well, I
Aaron
heard
was
that,
not.
I will tell you where I heard that from. I heard that from Chief Lafferty.
Yeah, well, there,
So, whether it's true or not, I don't know. I'm just telling you that's what he told me.
Sure.
And if that's the case, then he didn't do anything wrong, our department didn't do anything wrong, they weren't allowed to pursue.
Guys, I'm not saying that we're doing anything, I'm saying I believe we have the capabilities of taking care of
I
this.
agree,
for
but
myself.
what I'm saying
Yes.
is there may be things that we don't know that the drug enforcement task would know. And that's where I want the chief to come in and talk to us as far as what he believes we need to do, what he
Guys,
believes will take
guys,
care of this
think
problem.
about this, if this stuff is happening in Wood County, they should be down here taking care of it. If it's a drug trafficking going from wherever Eric's hearing that it's going and coming to North Baltimore and vice versa, that's in Wood County, they should be dealing with it anyhow.
They have
Right, guys?
they have a two-person unit. I have a feeling they have more issues in the Bowling Green area than they have in North Baltimore.
But Bowling Green has their own
That
department.
just, that's.
Right.
But
Very well.
I said in that area.
Very well.
Guys, we just.
They're not
we
just in the
Even
town.
if we do this,
We
if we
just-
don't see that we're getting a return on it, if we don't see our town getting cleaned up, then we pull it. We pulled it, but we're not gonna know unless we try it.
What do we do with that extra cop we just hired and now we don't?
She's just part-time right
No,
now.
I know,
But
just
later
saying, if
on,
we pull
right.
it, we're gonna now have a extra cop we're paying for. I mean, they laying somebody off? I mean, that's one thing we gotta think about too.
Hiring somebody to get rid of them, that's one of the chief's concerns, right? Ms. Beaupre, we have a drug problem, and I don't agree with you or disagree with you. Is that based on what you hear, or is that based on stuff that you may know? Or, and I don't know if that's a fair question.
It is a good question.
Yeah,
I can honestly and openly say that it is because of things that I know.
You know.
I know. And I have in the past dealt
Sure.
with such things
So,
very closely that were not handled. And as far as the Wood County prosecutor, when I spoke to Gwen Gerber, when she was prosecuting, and was watching things in this village that our cops were told not to touch.
by Gwen, or by?
Mhm.
So our police, I'd like to ask that to our police chief, that, hey, so we're being directed in our own village not to,
Because a lot of times, from what I have been told, our people are tiny little people. They want to know who the big people are.
and that's fine, I love that, so come in here and find out who they are. Right, bring your resources down and find out, you can't say,
But
hey, North and
what I
North.
understand, aren't they trying to start that up, and that's why they came to us? Like, they don't have a task force currently.
So the way that I'm hearing about it, they're helping everybody up north, right? When somebody, if I say, why aren't we already getting the help down here? Why do we have to pay and everybody else is getting the help? That's what I don't understand. Why are we, guys, we just appropriated, I don't know how much money to that, that's $40,000 plus to that department, which I think is great. I think we needed to. But we're broke over there right now in 2026. Guys, and then on top of that, we're gonna pay the salary for something that may not work out, and then, like Tim said, I'm talking about, and then we possibly gotta lay somebody off that we're doing. I just think that we should let our expectations be known of what our police department needs to be taken care of. I think either we go this direction or don't go the K-9. I mean, what, the K-9 unit is affordable. Why would we not start off with that? That's what I don't, why would we not start off with program, if it doesn't work, now let's try this. If this, I think we're throwing, so we're going from 0 to 120, right? Almost like, hey, we've done nothing.
Well, correct, and I think that kind of, people believe that we've knowingly done nothing, when we have not. Like, I don't know how to phrase what I want to say. So, we had a police department that did what they were told to do, that may not have always been correctly told to do things. Okay? So, the community sees that we have this problem that nobody's taking care of, and this body sees that we have this problem that nobody's taking care of. However, we have put in a new officer. Basically, every officer over there is brand new.
Yeah.
We're bringing in the drug dog, the Fed task force. So, give us some time to run it and see how things.
Yeah. So think about that. If you just nailed it. You just said we've got a problem that nobody's taking care of. Of course, that's where I'm going to go and sell drugs. Of course, if there's a police department that's ignoring it, of course that's where I'm going to go. I'm saying with the K-9 unit, from what I've been told about K-9 unit, that we're not ignoring it anymore, and that's the first step. And
Well,
then,
and if our chief and our officers, and that's a priority, and we as this body set that as a priority.
That's what I'm saying.
And we say,
that-
hit this, take care of this, then we should be fine. It's the intel that I think we're not gonna get if we're not part of a
But
task force.
that's what I'm saying is, I don't know if we've ever said, hey, here's our expectations as a group. Start here and let us know what other resources you need, right? Okay, yes, we did this for a year, it didn't work out, we still got issues, now we start looking at funding a task force. I don't think we have the money this year to do it, if you want my opinion, it needs to be a 2027 anyhow. To just throw $60,000 more at it, right, to get through the rest of the year, I think is.
Well, because we haven't fully test-driven what we have.
Right, that's what I'm saying, why are we going from, I'm asking, let's start off with, what's our expectations?
All right, well, how about this? If we're not going to implement it
I don't
until
know.
next year, if we're gonna talk about it and get this hammered out and we start it in January, why don't we see what we can accomplish between now and then?
I would give I would give the drug, I would allocate the money and give the K-9 unit with some direction, at least a year to make, I mean, if we're talking about everything so secret and undercover, I mean, we gotta give our department an opportunity to, because they haven't, guys.
Two things,
Yeah, please.
if I may. Two things. One, I think we could not hire another full-time person, but utilize our part-time people to cover that. So I think that would take care of that issue. Secondly, I want to hear from our chief. I want to see what he thinks of this and what he feels we can accomplish on our own, or how he feels that this would benefit us. I'm not prepared to make a decision either way until I hear from our chief.
Yeah,
I understand where
agreed.
you're coming from, and
I don't
I
disagree.
appreciate it, but I want to hear from our chief.
I hope that our department can handle this, because that's exactly what
Well,
my
if the chief comes
expectations
in
are.
and says, yes, I think with our K-9, we can handle
We
this,
can give-
then I will absolutely, you know.
I'm not saying this thing, I'm certainly not saying this whole thing should go out, well, I certainly don't like this, we need to have a
Right,
discussion
no, I
about
agree,
this.
I agree.
But I'm not saying the whole thing, I think we should take one step at a time is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
I think we should say, hey, guys, what if the K-9 unit does work? What if it does? What if in a year, we see the drug issues, I mean, the
Then
chief
if we
will
had
tell you-
already committed to this, we could pull. I mean, we are not locked into this, but for, I don't remember what it said in here. but-
30 days.
Yeah, how
Well,
many?
it's-
You can terminate after 30 days.
Okay.
It's
So
a
we can
3-year
terminate
agreement,
this
you
if
can
we-
terminate, it's a 3-year agreement, you can terminate.
1-year agreement, extended to up to 3 years, and can be terminated at will
In 30 days.
with 30-day notice.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I would say, my suggestion is, start with the K-9 unit. See where we get to in 12 months. Look, guys, I mean,
I was part of an arson task force. I know how much information I got from outside entities. I am 100% behind a task force operation,
I appreciate that.
okay?
Yeah.
How it works and things like that is a different story. But I really need the police chief in here too, to give information and see how he feels about working with the task force. To sit here and say, without him here, and say we shouldn't do it, I think that's just the wrong.
I agree.
I did not say we shouldn't do it, I'm
No,
saying we
and
should.
we're not saying you did.
No.
I'm saying we should find out if the first thing that we've already incorporated works or not. That's what I'm saying, so don't,
No, I wasn't saying that you weren't.
'Cause that's not what I'm
ever doing
saying.
it. I understand you want to,
I think we're
you
putting
want to
the
give
cart
our
before the
dog
horse.
an opportunity first, but I want to hear from our police chief.
and I think that we need to let him know what our expectations are. You know, if there's a drug problem in the village of North Baltimore, and we're saying we're just gonna continue to let it go on like we have in the past, that's where I'm gonna go do business, guys. If I'm a drug dealer, that's where I'm gonna go do business.
I can't believe our police chief would say that. I
Whoa,
would
whoa,
be
whoa,
shocked.
no,
if he
no,
said-
that's what Ms.
No,
Bowman
our
just-
current one, our current chief. I don't believe he would say, we're not gonna do anything.
Right, that's what I'm saying, guys, so yes.
But that's why I wanna hear from him.
We
I wanna
need-
see
we
what
need-
he feels he needs, what he feels would be at our best, you know.
I'm
benefit
pretty
us the most.
confident he's gonna do everything in his power with the resources we give him to get the drugs cleaned up in the village of North Baltimore. We started with the K-9 unit. I'm very confident of that. And if
With the
that-
resources we
Yep,
give him,
Yep.
does he need these extra resources or not?
Guys, we're the ones that give him all the resources. He came to us and said, I don't even understand where that's going.
No,
That's-
well, all I'm saying, with the resources we give him,
Of
I'm agreeing
course,
with you.
yes.
But he's not here to tell us what resources he needs. That's my point.
There's a chance we may need, if you want to talk to him, there's a chance we may need a special meeting before
Yeah.
the 4th, because so he can leave early for his White House
Mhm.
meetings.
Yeah.
I can talk to him probably tomorrow about this. See what-
I'll call him, let him know. I'll talk to him tomorrow. Let him know. So, you guys want to have him at a special meeting Tuesday?
Tuesday.
I cannot make
Oh,
Tuesday's meeting.
that's right, and Dave won't be here Tuesday.
Ah.
That's all right,
Well,
so
he
we'll-
won't be for committee of the whole, he'll be here the following week.
Yeah, we'll put it for,
But yeah, committee of the whole won't work because we'll be missing a couple people, so. With Fair Week coming up, Dave's not gonna be available until after Fair.
Oh, that's right.
I'd like to know how much this is possibly gonna cost us too. I mean, do we have to possibly buy a vehicle like this says?
yeah.
And we're
There's
paying
a
for
lot
all the
in there
fuel
that needs to be
in
talked
our
about.
vehicle and the sheriff's vehicle, if they produce it, so.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
I'd like to know the
That needs to be
And
changed.
why couldn't we also put in there not to exceed? You know, we agreed to this, but not to exceed. a
Mickey,
certain
that's some of
amount.
my concerns, is there's no accountability to this. That is exactly what you're talking about. So they're gonna go out and do it, and listen, I'm not saying that they're not out doing their job, I'm saying, there's no accountability back to
No,
us.
then I
and I'm
agree,
saying-
there needs to be.
I mean,
and
I got
so we
that
just put that in here.
wrote down in my notes. Well, there's a lot that I think needs to be, so,
Because there also isn't anything about, when we were first told about this, any
50%.
drugs that were recovered, they were gonna be split 50-50. And that's not in here.
no,
So-
it's whatever.
But it's not, it's not.
It's by hour,
It's
it's
not
not
50-50.
50/50.
No, it's not.
That's what I'm saying, but that's what they told us.
Yeah,
That's what they
because
told
it's
us.
whether an agency originated the investigation or came from.
Right.
Right, so
Who
that's.
cares where it came from?
Right.
I've got some concerns with that myself, right? We said, because we're the ones ponying up. The village of North Baltimore's the one ponying
Right.
up and helping them. I certainly believe that.
Right.
We already have a budget over $1 million.
So, you know, I.
Yes, we've already, guys, keep that in mind, that's a good point. Our budget is over $1 million in that department. So that's a pretty hefty, that's where a lot of our. so
Well, they
just-
would need to, you know, put in there what they explained to us that night, and that was that any drugs recovered, it would be 50-50,
So-
and that's not in here, so, that would need to be added, but then also I think there needs to be, you know, how much time are they gonna spend in North Baltimore? You know, we're not gonna do this just to never see our officers here. We wanna know that they're spending equal time here as well. Since we're supplying the officer and funding his pay and everything, we should get some of the benefit. You know, we shouldn't have to, you know,
Dean, I want to make something on this. I don't necessarily want our officer here. I would rather have one of the sheriff's detectives here because they can work undercover. They're not known as well.
Sure.
As our officer.
No,
Our
but I-
officer's
what I
gonna,
meant
our
by-
officer's gonna partner with the sheriff's.
Yeah.
Right.
Right,
But
but what
I'm
I
saying, they'll be
meant
working
was
together
that we
in
are
town.
spending equal time
Right.
down here.
So-
You know, rather than, say, Custer, because we're paying that
Right.
officer.
Oh.
So I feel we should
I-
have something in here that guarantees us.
I would
that we're
propose
getting-
that we ask the chief, I feel like there needs to be, if we go forward with this, there needs to be a monthly update given to the chief about, one, where our officer is spending his
Right.
time.
That's exactly
And we
right.
have to think about this too, so, one, our officer is going to get detective training that he's never gonna get here.
Mhm.
And two, since they're partnering, let's say out of a 40-hour work week, he spends 25 hours here, 20 hours here. We're getting 40, because we're getting his partner, that's the sheriff's detective, that's going to be working with him. And I think a lot of it is the intelligence that I don't know that we can get with just our officers.
Right.
And so I think that's a big part of it, but I agree with you, Mayor and Jimmy, we gotta, the stuff has to be more clear about the financial and then how they're gonna report to us, and they can report to the chief can tell the mayor and Josh, and then that can get to us on. We need to know how many hours, Buckley, and if it's 6 months into it, and 3 months into it, and he's spending 10 hours a week here, then I say we give him 30 days and we kill it, you know, but we need to hear from the chief.
But I agree,
Yes.
they need to log the hours and where he's at.
Yes,
Yeah,
there's what I'm
100%.
talking about, the
Right.
Yeah.
accountability. Now,
Right,
I don't, wherever they're doing their,
Yeah.
so that's why I started this quick concern. Guys, what are we trying to accomplish?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, we're just trying to accomplish getting the drugs out of North Baltimore.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not saying that I want them in Bloomdale or in Rossford or where, I'm not
Yeah.
saying, but guys, we represent North Baltimore, so if we can achieve that, right? And I don't know that this is.
I mean, we
and
give them an
they're
expectation, if we said to them.
because that's nowhere in here, guys, and I know that they can't
Yeah.
tell us, hey, we're getting all the drugs out of North Baltimore. I know that's not, but,
Yeah.
but guys,
I think it's fair for us to ask for a time commitment.
Yeah.
And if we get 50% of their time spent in North Baltimore, that is the full-time position.
Absolutely.
We're actually getting more than what we paid for because we're getting a seasoned detective
Right.
So,
for our officers.
I want you
today.
guys to think about this though, and
But we need to ask for all of
yes, consider this. So if we're trying, because my thoughts are to expand this out to maybe once a year or every 2 years, because it's a training. This is a training for our officers. That's exactly what it says in there. So what about every year or every 2 years, we send another officer over there to get that training, to bring that professionalism back to North Baltimore instead of just one person that we may never get that.
And I
back.
think we also need to think about our own employee and say, you know, we are going to, because we're basically paying him to get training, our officer.
Yes.
And like your point, in the future, 2 years down the road, we want to switch out, put another officer there, something like that.
Well, because-
There needs to be a commitment that they're staying with the village of
Bingo.
North
There you
Baltimore.
go.
Yes, sir.
Because it's like paying for college.
Yeah.
Right.
We're paying for continuing education.
And think about, and we thought about that, because guys, I would like to at least be able to utilize those skills for at least a year or two.
Right.
To bring them back and start helping our other officers with that.
100%.
And I love that, because, and that was my thought on it, is maybe every year, every 2 years, say, okay, he has gone through his training, let's get somebody else over there that might be qualified. And
Right.
should we take sign-ups over there to see if somebody's available, or should we just, because there might be.
I think that would be like the chief that would say, 2
This
years down the
team-
road, be like, I have another officer that's really hungry and wants to
Bingo.
do this stuff and learn, and we could swap them out, and
To bring it-
the officer that comes back has that knowledge.
Because here's the thing we're gonna be looking
And
at,
training.
with that training,
Yeah.
they're not gonna stay here.
No.
Bingo,
That's
that's,
gonna get-
and we
That's
talked
why I
about
want,
that.
that's why I want to, I think and it says in here, North Baltimore employment policies and all that, that's on us, the village. We can say, if we're going to
You have to
let
give
you
us a
join this
commitment.
program, there's a commitment, just like if
We've lost
we
a lot
paid,
of these too.
right,
Yeah.
right, and, I mean, we would compensate the officer for his increased skills, and all, but we
And
don't want
that-
him to leave.
That commitment should overlap the other officer getting trained. So that commitment, if
I like it. 2 years.
if they're, say they're gonna train for a year,
A year.
then they've gotta give us another year,
I love it.
so that we're training another one, so that we're never without a trained officer in
Yeah.
the drug task force. if that's what we're gonna do, if we're gonna rotate it, then they have to.
We have to protect our village and all of us as taxpayers.
Perfect.
What we're paying for. There needs to be more spelled out in here. Assets, costs, time commitment. And I know that you can't judge it every week, but in a month, we should say, over a month time period, roughly, we'd like, 50% of the time that officer to be here. And if we're not
Right.
seeing that,
Right.
Well, and she did explain that if they're on a case where she may not be able to be here 50% of
Sure.
the month, because maybe these 2 months.
yeah, maybe they say it's more realistic on like a 3-month period,
Right,
like
right.
it would average
But just so
out.
we're getting equal time here.
Yeah.
I feel
That's why I wanted to have this meeting, because what you guys are talking about, Rich, because when I first seen this, I thought, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
this is, but now it seems like we're on the same page, and a lot of the notes that I have is exactly what we're talking
Yeah.
about, that I want to sit down and make sure that
Yeah.
that is hashed out before we sign any, before I sign, because I'm going to have to sign this.
So my question would be, when we talk to the chief, is that something that can be executive session? Because we might start talking about
Yes.
personnel and things that you might not
Yeah.
want in a public meeting.
No.
Security
Sure
and.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think,
It's G1.
yeah, I think that would be a good idea, because
G1.
we can ask him some more pointed questions,
Mhm.
and that we probably don't want in a public meeting.
But I think that meeting needs to take place, like I said, after fair, so that everybody's here.
Sure, no problem.
So that everybody's here.
Can it be the week of is after fair the week of our regular meeting, not committee of the whole?
Yeah, I mean, that, as long as
Mhm.
the chief can make it, yeah.
Okay,
Because Dave said he'd be back, you'll be back, right?
Next
So
week
then-
is fair.
okay.
To the week of our regular or the week after our regular?
No, the week,
Week
the
out.
week that we have our regular meeting. If he's available, we
Yeah,
could have it.
and if it has to be another night or something,
Or
other
if
than
I know
the
he needs
Tuesday.
to leave early, we could maybe come in early.
Yeah.
Instead of 5:30, we make it 5.
Maybe 5 o'clock, just to hash out some concerns and some
Yeah.
questions.
Phone, you said?
Yeah, I can call him.
Yeah, because I think that's, because ultimately it's his staffing he's dealing with is,
Yep.
and he knows a heck of a lot more about law enforcement than all of us do, with his 30 years of experience in these.
All right, did you have anything else, Mr. Ingard?
So Josh, that would be the 11th at 5, if he can make it, if that works.
Right before, you do it right before the regular meeting.
Yeah, unless he can stay for, and do it
I
at that.
don't think.
No, because he'll have his meeting.
That's
probably
what-
can.
So that's why I'm wondering
Does it
if
have to
5
do
would
with-
work for him.
does it
If
have
that
to
would
do
work on
with-
the
Maybe
Friday.
even,
Well, this is a committee meeting.
if we do 2 weeks out, maybe we could do 4:30,
I,
so we have plenty of time to meet with him.
obviously the mayor said he's gonna talk to him, but August 11th, I'll throw it out there too.
4:35, so
Yeah.
whatever he
4:35.
thinks.
Contracts that we have.
Yeah.
with who?
Yeah, and then I think we
Okay.
can come up
About
with
going
a list
into
of
contract,
Okay.
about.
2 or